Hi, sexy people. Welcome to The Trouble with Sex. We are continuing to explore the effects of emotional, physical, and violent trauma on our most intimate relationships and how to face our own trauma to heal our own wounds. You've been hearing me talk about what's happened to me, and you've been hearing our guests talk about ways to heal trauma, sexual trauma, emotional trauma, relational trauma. Today, our guest is Dr. Kate Truitt, and they're joining us to dive deeper into this topic and discuss how touch can be used to rebuild safety after trauma. Dr. Kate Truitt is a clinical psychologist and a neuroscientist recognized for her trauma, stress, and resilience expertise. She founded the Truitt Institute, where she integrates cutting edge neuroscience into mental health training and seminars. She leads Dr. Kate Truitt and Associates services as CEO of both the Amy Research Foundation and the Trauma Counseling Center of Los Angeles, here in my part of the world. As an essential part of the Goldie Hawn Foundation's MindUP Scientific Advisory Committee, Dr. Kate passionately advocates for mental health literacy and empowerment. She's also the best-selling author of Healing in Your Hands and the one that I really relate to, Keep Breathing. She's dedicated to advancing the treatment of trauma and stress disorders, making strides in destigmatizing mental health and refostering resilience worldwide. Welcome, Kate. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I've been very, very, very much looking forward to this conversation. And I love how you just said refostering resilience.
I
That's
feel like that's a thing,
it
right?
is. Yeah, that's so I've never heard it stated that way. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to quote you.
Well, I was reading your bio and it said fostering resilience, and I was like, well, I feel like we all have it, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like
Finding it
finding
sometimes,
it again.
reconnecting it. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hidden under the bed.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so.
I was telling you that Laurel Parnell told me after my trauma, I'm like a cat hiding under the bed.
Yes.
And I so love that imagery because I just feel like sometimes I just want to scratch people's eyes out from poking me. Like, no, I'm not ready to come out from under the bed.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess being on the podcast is a safe way of coming out, but I really find that I'm talking a lot about trauma and the body and sex. And I feel like you, of all the experts out there, you're really transparent about your own trauma and things that have happened to you. And you and I had a trauma around the same time.
Yeah.
And
Within
you,
weeks of each other.
within weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
at my house and then you had the trauma.
Yeah. I was at your house a week before.
I know. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
I
And
was so sad because I was like, "But I wanna go to the next one."
I know,
And I
I
can't.
know, I know. Well, we're gonna have you back again. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like the idea of your life can change in an instant
Yes.
and the whole world changes. You just sort
Yeah.
of go along in your life like everything's fine, da da da, walking down the street, and then out of nowhere, life like punches you in the face, literally
Mhm.
and figuratively. Do you
Yeah.
want to tell people what happened to you?
Yeah, to exactly a different version of what happened to you. I was assaulted by a vehicle and was just leaving my clinic here in Pasadena. My team had all gone to our cars together, laughing and joking, got in our cars to go home for the day. I pulled out first, which I'm so grateful I did. So they were all right behind me in their respective cars. And I went into an intersection, and a young woman blasted through a red light, T-boned me. I should have not survived. I had serious fractures in my neck, spinal injury, very severe PTSD and concussion. And then we came to find out later that this was a young woman with a devastating history of mental illness,
Mm.
and that the way she would endeavor to complete the act of suicide was through vehicular manslaughter. And so when I heard your story, it really deeply resonated with me about how the work we do is so critical in helping people find resilience and heal their trauma. Because this was a young woman who was in deep pain, and I just happened to be the person who got in the way.
Oh my god, you were like the weapon that she was using to hurt herself.
Yeah.
I didn't know
And
that part. Oh, that
yes,
gives me goosebumps. That's
yeah. I mean, it's just so it's been I was on bed rest for 3 months because I had very severe fractures and edema in my neck that could have cut off blood flow to my brain, and so in terms of body safety, intimacy, connection, and just feeling in the world, like I can navigate the world, that existential threat I know you talk a lot about.
Mhm.
It's been really overwhelming, and I'm so grateful for the way you talk about you and share about your experience, Tammy, because we're the people who are supposed to know it all. And yet we still can be so viciously hijacked by our emotional brain and the fear centers and become the cat hiding under the bed.
I feel like for both of us, like these people that attacked us basically, th
Yeah.
they didn't know who they were messing with. Like,
I know.
they didn't know we were gonna change the world talking about what they did to us. Like, did they
Yes.
realize who they were going after?
Exactly.
I mean, we are not like, wilting flowers or whatever. Like,
No.
the thing that strikes me about you is as much as you were the victim of what happened to you, you are not a victim.
No. Well, it's interesting you say that. A huge part of the work that I've been doing in this journey, and I'd love to hear your perspective and your journey, was really coming into relationship with the fact that I had a victim bypass.
Tell me about
I
that.
I was a victim,
Mhm.
and I had PTSD, and for 3 months, I was wrestling with despair and depression and agony and medical procedure after medical procedure, but I kept saying, "But I'm the phoenix. I rise stronger and wiser. I'm going to give this a job." And my husband kept saying, "Get your ass back in bed.
Mm,
You're on bed rest. If you move around too much, you could die."
wow.
And I realized that my pushing to be a survivor wasn't allowing me to be in relationship with the very real reality that I needed to be in relationship with the trauma of what had happened. I had been a victim. And until I had that awareness and that connection point, I wasn't going to recover
Mhm,
because I was avoiding and dissociating from my body's pain and my emotional experience of the truth of feeling like I'm not safe in this world right now. And
mhm,
I think that's an existential truth for so many of us on so many levels.
mhm, mhm,
I was like, "Oh, what if it was okay to be I had to be a victim right now, and that's okay. It's not this that's not the final stop. It's just this one stop on the journey."
mhm. Well, you were in so much pain,
Yeah.
physical pain.
Yeah, well, so are you.
Yeah, but not like you. I mean, I had a concussion, I had some, bleeding and bruising, but you, my dear, wow.
I don't recommend it.
I mean, spinal injury, neck injury, that's like your core of
Yeah.
who you are in the world, like,
Yeah.
being able to stand up, being able to sit up, finding your strength,
Yeah.
not being able to move in the world without having extreme pain. But you have this added issue of, like, how do you rebuild your sense of being in the world without suffering?
Yeah. And trusting the world around me,
Mhm.
the both and of that, and the body betrayal piece of just being like, "Body, get it together."
Oh, poor
And
body.
I know, I'm such a self-compassion freak, like, I love self-compassion, and just being like, "But get your act together, Katie, come on."
Mhm. Mhm. I felt differently, only in the emotional way, like, "Get over it, you should be over it."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
"What?"
know better.
Yeah,
I know that's what I kept saying, "I know better."
yeah. I know I
Like,
should be able to
why
think my way out of this.
exactly. Oh,
Why am I still under the bed?
mhm. And as Laurel pointed out, what if that's okay?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So your books really, came before this
Mhm.
accident. How do you feel like your ideas have changed or morphed or grown since this happened to you personally?
Oh, that's such a big question. I love my books. I'm so proud of them,
Mhm,
and I think that a big part of the growth trajectory for me within this is really connecting on the power of exactly what you embody, Tammy, of using our own story as connective tissue for the human condition as experts in this space,
Mhm.
and how we can really intentionally generate safety in having these types of conversations
Mhm.
rather than being in the world of, I am an expert, I am trained in this, I know this. It's saying I am a human. It's a both and I try to embody that in my books, but this journey has transformed that relational space for me,
Mhm.
and especially being on bed rest and usually engaging in social media in a way that was just over and over again ripping off the emotional band-aid and saying, here's my raw truth, and people sharing and connecting in ways that have been really powerful and healing for me.
Mhm. Mhm. You have such a huge social following, and people really do connect to you. They really feel you. Every time you share something, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I feel you. I
I,
hope
I'm
you."
a, I'm very blessed. I'm just, I was a very lonely, isolated, scared child with severe social anxiety that became social phobia. And so I still look around to this day and go, I have a lot of really amazing people in my life. I don't know how this happened, but thank you, everybody. I'm very humbled.
Well, you
It's very
created
cool.
that. The fact
Yeah.
that you put yourself out there and you have these social media gurus that work for you, that
Yeah.
connect you, and you're able to put yourself out there and be so honest and transparent. I mean,
Yeah. But you do it too. You really do.
I'm still a little under the bed. But let's
The
talk about that, like, how is it for you, like, building relationships, um, getting through that feeling of threat, like, what you said about,
Mhm.
like, really understanding, like, the world is not a safe place, like, that's a whole that
Mhm.
just makes my neck hurt even talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm having
Yeah.
this somatic response. Um, you really do have to have this existential understanding of the world is not safe. It could be
Yeah.
it could punch you in the face at any time, and
Mhm.
it changes everything, and you can't
Yes.
live that way. Like, you can't go through the rest of your
Mhm.
life living that way, and at the same time, there are, there's evidence everywhere to support that theory once you realize it at such a deep level.
Yeah. Well, and never more so than the world we're navigating right now.
Mhm, mhm.
Right. There's so much visceral, almost tangible threat. And I know you talked about this. You did a wonderful anxiety solo show not too long ago, talking about the invasiveness of our phones and the media pop-ups that happen. And the way I've learned to figure this out for myself, and even the way I overcame my social phobia, started 25 years ago working in rat labs, where I was studying fear and learning paradigms and looking at the rats. And we were a very animal friendly rat lab. PETA would have been fine with us. We were cool. Um,
You didn't stab anyone in the eye, or
no, we did not. Everybody was great. All
all
the
the
rats
rats
were
were safe. There were no rats
yeah.
harmed in this episode.
Yes, yes. Periodically, they might have a little too much sugar water and get a bellyache, and that was our fear paradigm of a bellyache. And who hasn't had too much sugar and had a bellyache? So,
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
but I started to realize their little amygdalae were the ones that were starting to would guide the fear behaviors. And over the past couple decades, I started to conceptualize my own journey, my client's journey, and all of the research we do at the Amy Research Foundation through this lens of brain partnership. Of what if we took these fear responses and back to the neurobiological basis and say, my brain's just trying to keep me safe, because there is a real reality of threat out there. Just like our ancestors millennia ago walking through the grasslands, a bush shook, there could have been a tiger.
Mhm.
That's our brain's job. And so instead of allowing that to become the only truth, recognizing, oh, hey, I call the amygdala Amy, go, oh, hey, Amy, you are being my superpower right now at trying to keep me safe. And that's spinning me into trauma. That's spinning me into dissociation. That's shutting me down, making me want to crawl under the bed. That's making me isolate or disconnect and doom scroll on my phone. That's just this really powerful little part of our brain trying to keep us safe, trying to keep me safe. And when I honor her, there's more spaciousness for me to step in as an adult human. And I know I sent an email to you and your team this morning saying, I'm still learning how to adult right now. Right. Like even just that type of statement is saying, it's okay, baby girl. It's
Mm.
okay. Because the fear brain is legitimately freaked out right now. And then how do we come home to our safe self and have the fear and also the awareness that we can create intentional calm, or if calm feels far-fetched, which I know it does a lot of the time,
Mhm.
just openness to an additional way of thinking in the moment.
So, first, help our listeners what the amygdala is and how
Yes.
that works in the brain, just for side note, and then
Yes.
we'll talk more
Mhm.
about Amy.
Yes. So our amygdala, we all have two of them, one on the left side of our brain and one on the right side of our brain. Interestingly, they develop at different times and they have slightly different
I
jobs.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and the right amygdala is our fight, flight, freeze amygdala. It's big picture threat. Our left amygdala is more finely tuned into the details. I like to think of the left amygdala being all about people pleasing and fun,
Mhm.
and examining more of the nuances and the relational structures of our world, but they work together. And the primary job of our amygdala, and it's very good at it, it's been around for 300 million years, is to ensure we stay alive. And the research that we do at my research foundation and in partnership with the universities we work with, we really dial it down into what are the core values of threat to human life, and how do we partner with those values to create resilience and personal empowerment. And the core values that we've conceptualized and that we see really coming forward in the research are: am I safe, reasonable? Do I have belonging, and am I lovable?
Mm.
And fundamentally what we call success, which is inclusive of agency, the ability to create change, and personal empowerment.
I'm just writing these down. Am I safe? Am I lovable?
And can I create change in my world?
Change,
Yeah, agency.
agency.
And our amygdala, at a very primal level, is always scanning and engaging in the world through what it's learned across the course of our life about these core concepts for us, culturally, societally, gender-based norms, so on and so forth. And of course, the family dynamics, epigenetics, all of that stuff comes together to these basic concepts. Am I safe? Am I lovable? And do I belong? And can I create change in my world? And
Mm,
if not, how do I survive if I can't,
mm,
ultimately?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. So, one of the biggest problems I'm having now is just being out in the world with where there's
Yeah.
people. It's
Mhm.
not me, it's the other people that are the problem. And
I
it's
know.
like walking down the street, and
Yes.
so I want to be in relationship to not just um strangers on the street, but even like my friends and my
Mhm.
family. Like, it's harder for me to engage with anybody than it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's even taken a long time to heal with my partner. It takes me a long time to like sort of settle into those sort of affectionate, loving moments. I just can't
Yeah.
settle.
Mm.
And so, I'm walking down the street. I don't feel safe when people are walking towards me. People
Mm.
ask me, why don't we go out to dinner? It takes me like weeks to decide, and then I cancel, and then I just don't feel as safe in the world. And
Yeah.
even with, family and really close friends, they're like, "Do you want me to come over and hang out?" And I'm like, "No, I'd rather just
No.
watch TV."
I
Like,
feel it. I feel you. I feel you completely. Yeah.
mhm. And so,
Yeah.
like, that's my amygdala keeping me safe, right? That's like,
Mhm.
how long is that gonna take, Kate?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's to normalize it's, yes, it's your amygdala, and Tammy, you also you have a concussion.
I know. It's true.
So, and speaking as somebody who's also recovering with a concussion,
Mhm.
and we have lower frustration tolerance, sensory data is more flooding
Mhm.
and almost catastrophic for us in certain instances. So, sensory data being smell, sight, taste, sound,
Lights.
touch.
Lights.
right? And for you specifically, you had a very real physical assault where touch was used to hurt you.
Mhm.
And so affection, gentle engagement, snuggling, cuddling, your brain, your amygdala now is going, even though this is my safe person, there's still that trauma response.
Mm.
Because our amygdala, I like to think of her as putting on fear glasses. Just like we talk about rose colored glasses, there's fear glasses. And Amy's going, all touch is now bad. You were attacked on a street in public. Nobody came, even though you were fighting and screaming with it. There was a period of time where it was just you.
Mhm.
So that's a double whammy. Public spaces, and will people help me if I'm hurt?
Mm.
And I had a version of that. We have the video of my car accident, and I mean, it was 6:37 at night.
Mhm.
Nobody stopped for the first 90 seconds after the car accident, despite the fact that both of our cars were completely destroyed. And it was finally an EMT who was off duty who stopped. And then one of my team members, who was a couple cars behind, pulled over, but she had to find a place to park before she ran up.
Wow.
But you can watch the video and see everybody just kept driving by. Nobody stopped. So even that in of itself is, it's not only can people hurt me and unexpected things happen, it's the belonging, the
Mhm.
sense of safety and community. My community won't show up for me when I need help.
Mhm.
And Amy's going to pay a lot of attention to that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the added piece too for me of as a trauma therapist,
Yes.
people saying afterwards like, "Oh, now you have the first chapter of your next book."
No, yes, me too. You
I'm
and
sure
me
you
both.
had that.
I'm just like, I don't need more chapters right now.
"Can you just give me a hot minute before, I have to write about this?" Like,
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm hearing is you don't want to co-write a book right now, starting tomorrow.
give it like another week or so.
Give it a hot minute. Yeah.
Well, I'm fascinated by the touch because it didn't really occur to me. But now I'm thinking of, like, social situations where normally I would be really
Yeah.
affectionate, we have a massage table, like, there's all kinds of ways that I normally
Yeah.
would interact with people, and I was like,
Mm-mm.
no hugs, no kissing, no, like,
Yeah.
don't give me the European thing, don't touch me,
Yeah.
don't sit next to me on the couch, like, what
Mhm.
you're saying is really interesting, how all touch now is
Mhm.
telling my nervous system, "This could be dangerous."
Yeah. When touch has been weaponized against us, touch is our most primal sensory organ. It
Mhm,
predates the amygdala, and it's the first sensory system to develop in the womb, in utero. So it's one of the most critical guiding data points of safety and danger for our brain.
mhm.
And so if touch has been weaponized against us, our brain pays very close attention to that.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, you've also got the medicalized piece
Mhm.
too. So whenever someone touches you to help you, it hurts,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, let's put you into an MRI machine. Ow, like, everything that is
Uh-huh.
supposed to be helping you is
It's very
also
painful.
yeah, you're going through this cold medical system and it's painful and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I do have a history of assault in my multiple different assaults in my background.
mm,
And that was so I when I work with my clients, I always remind them that no trauma is singular to this moment.
mhm, so true.
It, even if our brain has done a huge amount of recovery, post-traumatic growth, and resilience development, our Amy has tagged certain things as possibly scary, even if they're no longer driving the way our brain is processing data.
Mhm,
And so when there's a new acute trauma, that wakes up Amy going, "Oh, I got this, guys. Let's go. We're going to make everything hard and scary again because I like this human whose brain I'm roaming around with. I'm going to make sure they stay alive."
mhm,
Yeah. A lot of the work that I do with my clients and in my own journey, it is very touch based. I learned EMDR back in 2004,
mhm,
and learning about tactile buzzies and butterfly taps. started to help me build a new relationship with touch, because
Can you
prior to
can
that, I hated
sorry, I
touch.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but can you
No,
just,
you're fine. Yeah.
for the people that are just audio,
Yeah.
not visual, can you describe the butterfly taps and
Uh-huh.
what that looks like and why that helps?
Yeah. So if you gently cross your arms in front of your chest, rest your fingers either on your shoulders, or you can include kind of a gentle holding of the heart space, and place both of your palms flat on where your basically where your sternum is, the center of your chest, with your fingers splayed. And then alternate gentle tapping with your fingertips, either on the shoulders or on that gentle heart space hold. And then more recently, I've been exploring a lot with mindful touch, which you can even give yourself a soothing, gentle hug. And that soothing, gentle hug is gently fingertips on shoulders now, and moving your hands down to your elbows.
So I love the butterfly touch. I think that's beautiful. Is there other touch that you recommend for healing
Mhm.
after trauma, healing the self, healing in relationship?
Absolutely. And if I may for a minute just step back and explain why this gentle touch can actually be healing when touch feels dangerous or threatening or overwhelming. Is
Mhm.
that obviously I'm a neuroscientist, and so but the reason for that is because my brain mandates data in order to
Mhm.
believe. I want to understand it if I'm going to try it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we have little fibers in our skin called C-tactile fibers. And what's really amazing about these fibers is they project into our spine, and they can reduce the impact of the pain receptors in our central nervous system. So they can turn the volume down on pain by creating a neutralizing force. Okay,
Okay.
good job, body. Way to go. That's awesome. And the parts of our brain that process physical pain and trauma also are highly involved in emotional pain and trauma. Also, good job, body. Awesome. So we can engage with these receptors in our skin to help our brain release more positive or soothing neurochemicals like serotonin. And I know you talk about a lot about SSRIs on here.
Mhm.
GABA, which is a calming neuromodulator. In stress and anxiety and trauma, we have way too much of GABA's evil sister running around, known as glutamate, which is
Mhm.
valuable, but we don't want too much glutamate.
Mhm.
It brings GABA on board, and oxytocin, which is
Mhm.
very soothing. And we often think about oxytocin in relationship with other people,
Mhm.
but the research is really profound about how we can use oxytocin for self partnership to
Oh,
calm our
nice.
own mind and body. And the best example of these fibers at work is if anybody's ever had a massage and they've noticed that not only did their body feel better, their brain felt more calm or a little foggy or just like, that's because of the fibers
Mm.
at work.
Nice.
So, in the past 20 or so years, there's been a huge influx of research on these fibers. And they're a large part of the work that I integrate into the treatment that I do with trauma survivors, individuals who've experienced assault, sexual trauma, any time where touch has been weaponized against us or we're dissociated from our body.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so we can use these gentle motions. One is just imagining you're washing your palms under warm water and rubbing your hands together. That touch downregulates the mind body system. Now, how many of
Mhm.
our clients pick at their nails or rub their hands together when they're stressed?
Mhm.
I mean, the number of romance novels I've read where they say, "Oh, and the heroine was wringing her hands with anxiety." I'm like, "Oh, she's applying mindful touch."
That's so funny.
Or giving oneself a gentle moving hug, which mimics the butterfly taps, fingertips on the shoulders, and then gently running the hands down to the elbows and repeating that soft, soothing motion. That also engages these same fibers. It's like going, "Hey, baby girl, I see you," or "Hey, baby boy, you're there. It's okay."
Nice.
And then we can also apply the touch by just gentle uh, running our fingers across our brows. If you've ever had a tension headache, might have done that. Or,
Well, I did the tapping
uh-huh,
training.
yeah, same thing. So this is those are using the exact same fibers. This is just
Oh,
engaging them in a different way and giving them a different job.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I always like the tapping,
me too.
especially here.
I do too.
I just feel like it shifts the locus of control. Like I have control
Yeah.
over my
Yeah.
whatever it is, my anxiety or my focus or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that's a huge part of the work is you're saying, hey, brain, rather than being, and specifically, hey, Amy, rather than being stuck, focused on the trauma, let's
Mhm.
give the brain an intentional other job.
Mhm.
That's agency.
Mm. Oh, that makes sense. So I'm not feeling hijacked by the
Uh-huh.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the combo platter of mindful touch plus different types of cognitive exercises puts us back in
You're saying such really smart things, and all I can picture is me walking down the street in LA going like this. Like, people are walking towards me, and I'm like, I'm safe. I'm safe. I have agency. I mean, it's better than Mace.
It's better than mace, yes. And but that's where like I love the palm on palm because how often do we walk? It's like, oh, it's a little chilly now. I'm going to rub my hands together, or just rubbing one arm. Like, oh, I'm a little chilly. I'm just going to rub one arm and do a single-handed soothing hug.
Well,
That's
it's very
normal.
yoga. We do this a lot. Like,
Yeah.
we do like the namaste thing and
Mhm.
a lot of that touch.
Yeah, these are
Mhm.
natural, normal behaviors that we do as humans.
Mm. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, when we come back from our break, I'm going to ask you the same thing that I ask all my guests, which is, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Want to create a more exciting, sexy date night? Whether you've just started dating or are already in a committed relationship, the Date Night Card Deck is designed to bring you and your partner to new heights of passion and romantic intimacy. The Date Night Card Deck includes a variety of sexy and stimulating questions and action cards designed to help you find new ways to communicate and connect. Move your relationship into new realms, and maybe even jumpstart a wild and sexy night. Order your Date Night Card Deck today on Amazon. Just type Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. That's Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. Create your exciting and sexy date night today.
Davenport Publications presents James and Jim.
James Morrison had it all. A beautiful wife. A perfect family. He was ready for partnership with a prestigious management consultant firm in the big city. He had everything a man could want. Until...
One night, on an ordinary train ride home, James witnesses a murder. Or does he? And is his new client the murderer? Sometimes murder is just part of the job. Witty. Wicked. A diabolical new thriller by Douglas Moser. James and Jim. On sale now.
Have you started to think about that sexy date night? Well, here's just a sampling of some of the cards. Touch your partner in a way that you'd like to be touched. Or how about this one? Describe a sexual fantasy you would never take into action but have thought about. To get your deck, just go to Amazon and type Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. That's Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. Create your exciting and sexy date night today.
The Psychotherapy Network or Symposium is the preeminent conference in Washington, D.C. for therapists. They recently started Innovations in Psychotherapy in Anaheim, California. We've attended both and asked attendees what they thought was the biggest trouble with sex today. Here's what one therapist had to say.
What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
For the general population, I think it's communication and expectations. Yeah, and I can say for my clients who have post-traumatic stress disorder, it's that one person has post-traumatic stress disorder and the other partner does not. So there's a lack of communication and understanding about how to have intimacy and touch that feels safe to the person with PTSD, that is going to be satisfying and emotionally intimate and connected enough for it to be sustainable.
We'd like to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? Go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy and submit your response today. We may use it on a future episode. Now, let's get back to our conversation with our guest to hear their answer.
So we're back with Dr. Kate Truitt, and she is a brilliant neuroscientist, and we're talking about safe touch after trauma, how to rebuild, and how to work with your amygdala. And we're talking about sexual trauma too. And so, Kate, I'm going to ask you what I ask everyone. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
There's so many interesting ways to answer this question. The way I'm going to answer it in this moment, though, is 1 in 5 people live with chronic illness, chronic pain, have medical trauma. And when somebody's had trauma of any type, it completely changes the physiology of the system.
Yes.
And the hijack that occurs in terms of physical safety, body betrayal, and as we've been exploring, the ability to even feel safe being affectionate with our intimate partners. That's one of the biggest barriers I see, and that nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about it. And I mean, some people talk about it like, okay, you've had cancer, but even then, there's not enough talk about it because I've interviewed a lot of guests about that. But things like I've had Lyme disease, no one talked about it.
Okay.
No one talks about like any autoimmune disease and how it relates to sex, getting in a car accident, how that's going to relate to sex, like all of these things. You're absolutely right. So what's your recommendation if you were to talk to people about how disability, body issues, how do they affect feeling safe around sexuality or creating pleasure again?
Yeah. I honestly lead out with that statistic because it's so normalizing. It's like the shadow club that 1 in 5 people are living in where it feels like the body's broken. And when we say, if you've ever been in an elevator with 5 people, one of those individuals is struggling. If you've got 6 people, maybe 2, 10 people, definitely 2. You're not alone. And the normalization can invite shame to at least step back. And then from there, it's a slow journey to recreating a sense of safety. And it's a lot of psychological education of this is why touch feels hard. This is why you're so sensitive and reactive to a gentle touch or somebody walking too close and being in your field. That's normal and that makes sense based on what your brain's trying to do to keep you alive. And then moving into building a safe space inside, interoceptive awareness. And that's where I love the mindful touch work. It allows us to come home into our bodies and start exploring again what does feel soothing and healing in a very safe, contained, and controlled manner that we get to choose. We're in charge of agency. I think so often we forget that we also belong to ourselves.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of times the work, I think, rushes ahead to like, let's create safety in our relationship. And I'm like, no, it starts with me.
Yeah. I have to get out from under the bed first.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can drag me out and we can talk about it, but I'll have to go right back under.
Yeah, exactly. Like, great session, doc. See you never. Yeah.
No, I like that. So with pain, let's just talk about pain specifically. Any kind of pain in your body, how do you work with people around sexuality to heal, to be ready to explore sex again?
Yeah. So I'm in physical therapy. I'm doing some version of physical therapy or concussion treatment almost daily right now. And so I've had a lot of opportunities to have these conversations with my medical team. And I'm very blessed because I have a medical team that's open to having these conversations with me about what is safe, what can my body handle, I'll be a little blatant, but hopefully this lands funny. Within the first couple months after the car accident, my physical therapist doctor was just like, well, you can starfish, but you can't move. Just don't move. And I was like, oh, internal awareness. I don't think that's how my body functions with intimacy. So what can we do instead? And it was he was being flippant and trying to make me laugh because I was devastated and depressed. But what he was really highlighting was turning around to my own self-awareness and then starting to remind me to create other micro ways to connect with my partner and also find mindful ways to take care of myself and give myself permission for the fact that it does really suck.
Well, also to understand your limitations so that you're not, telling yourself, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Well, you have physical limitations right now.
Yeah. And I think as a society, and I know this is a huge part of the work that you do, Tammy, there's a silence around sexuality and intimacy. And it's giving ourselves an intentional permission to have these conversations with our medical providers. And if our medical provider cannot have the conversation we need to have around sexuality and intimacy and affection on any level of our medical well-being, then it's probably time to look for a different provider because it's a fundamental part of being human.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell Facebook that, who has me in Facebook jail half the time. I'm like shadow banned most days. And, it doesn't matter which social media platform. Like, it doesn't matter how I say sex. I can say S3GB. Like, they don't care. They're like, we got your number. We know what you're trying to say. We can have all kinds of, political ramifications, and we can start revolutions in the U.S., and we can talk about slavery, but we
cannot talk about sex. No. Yeah. And that plays out into our sociological felt sense of safety.
Right.
If we can't talk about something that we crave, I crave intimacy. I have never had a single patient that didn't crave some version of intimacy. That doesn't mean they crave sex, but the connection. And with chronic pain, the body is in so much pain and feels like it's in threat so often that it feels dangerous. And if we can't talk about it, the possibility just floats further and further away from being a part of our life. And yet it's critical.
And I want to acknowledge the partners of people that have physical issues, because, I know for myself, my partner's had physical issues, and I'm like, I don't want to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a real drag. So, there's a part of that as much as he might be sensitive to my trauma, I'm sensitive sometimes to his physical issues and that he doesn't want to talk about. So, with being with someone that cares about you, they're going to be super sensitive to maybe not wanting
caretaking.
And caretaking around what they maybe perceive as your fragility may not be true even.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of projection around, how to take care of a partner who's been through difficult times. Seeing someone in pain is hard.
Yeah. It reminds me, I had a client whose partner had diabetes and struggled with high cholesterol and also had erectile dysfunction. And so the physician prescribed something to help out with the ED. And my partner, who's also a medical doctor, not my client who's a medical doctor, but the person's partner, went on to a Google Health journey of health doom about how this medication could, to your point, literally hurt their partner and kill their partner. And no conversation with her partner, instead just made this executive choice. And when they came in for treatment, I was working with her and I said, look, can we just bring your partner in for one session to unpack a little bit about this? Because your fear is real, but also so is the chasm between the two of you, because you're fighting so hard to keep them alive that you've lost your marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that doom scroll. You can go down a lot of Dr. Google doom scrolling.
Yes. And it's so common, and that's part of the prolific nature of social media and over accessibility to information right now.
And bad information.
Bad information. Yeah. Yeah.
So I can guarantee I got my stamp of approval on Dr. Kate Truitt's social media. It's all good. So if you Google her and her stuff, she's good and you can trust it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, stamp of approval. So we're going to take a question from a listener. Are you
I'm
up for
ready.
that?
I am.
Okay. About 7 months ago, this is from Lita from New York City. About 7 months ago, I was stopped at a red light on my bike in New York City and was attacked by a young man who was mentally unwell. Well, this sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Besides the trauma of the attack, when I fell off my bike, I sliced my leg deeply and needed 75 stitches. I have had trouble walking and being active until recently. I understand that I need to heal both emotionally and physically, but I'm also mindful that I was in a brand new relationship when all this happened. My partner has stayed by my side and it's been truly amazing, but I fear everything has been focused on me, and I'm starting to feel badly about this. I have not wanted to be intimate since the accident. I feel it's unfair to my boyfriend. What can I do to feel safe while starting to be intimate again? Well, Lee from New York City, thank you for sharing. And I certainly have a lot that I can connect with you about. That feeling of, first of all, being attacked for no apparent reason, random act of violence is very disturbing when you're just going along on your bike and everything's well and you're like, oh, just another day. And then wham, life happens. But you also had the physical manifestation in your leg, which I'm assuming kept you from riding your bike, which may have been a way that you took take care of your stress. And then to have a new relationship, it's almost like, when we had the pandemic and the shutdown and all the new relationships all of a sudden moved in together. And, but you had this extra element of having to be taken care of. And it sounds like the relationship, I'm just reviewing, the relationship was not sexual and it became a caretaking relationship. And sometimes that could feel parentifying, right? Feel like, you're bringing me soup and you're taking care of me. And in a new relationship, that's like a real shift around to try to figure out what everyone's roles are. And so you have an interesting question. You said it's unfair to your boyfriend. What can you do to feel safe and intimate again? So I feel like those are three separate things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting when I think about a lot of female dynamics. And I was talking to my mom about this yesterday, in fact, about it's almost impossible for her to ask my dad for help because she's been indoctrinated into this experience of don't be a burden. And yet when there's a medical crisis, that there's a weird conflict that arises of I need help, this person showing up to help. And when it's a longer term established relationship, there's at least a pattern of a balance experience prior. But in a new relationship, what you said beautifully, Tammy, is that parentification. Now, the great news is here's a partner who's showing up and proving that they can be counted on in a time of crisis.
Yeah, stepping up.
Yeah, and good job on Lita. Like, awesome, because you're aware of this dynamic and saying, I don't want this to be the dynamic of the entire relationship. How do we create a reset? And I really look at these moments as an opportunity for a reset button to be pushed. But the word unfair to me is also always an interesting one. Is that sociologically a dynamic that Lita's been raised within? Is her partner actually feeling like it's unfair? Is there resentment that's bleeding through, or something that's being communicated where it feels, this feels like too much? Or is it her internal dialogue?
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much there to unpack. I mean, it could be locked into their gender roles and something going on with the caretaking. That could be from your own past. And it also sounds like maybe, okay, I'm finally ready to get out from underneath the bed.
Yeah.
And, how do I do it?
Yeah. And how is this going, and maybe some anxiety around how the relationship will change, and will it survive the change of her no longer being dependent and returning back to her amazing New York bike riding self. And I know if you live in New York and you ride a bike, you're pretty awesome.
You are badass. Yeah. Totally.
And so that's also an identity shift, Lita. Like, that's a big deal. To go from fully functional and 75 stitches in your calf, that is not a small injury. That's that's a mental experience. That's a psychological experience. That's a huge trauma. And that's also a massive physical trauma.
And like you said, it's all about reconfiguring your identity.
Yes.
That's really, really true.
And
Because you can barely walk with that kind of injury.
Yeah. I mean, I graduated from my cane about 4 weeks ago. And everywhere I went with a cane, it was a shining beacon over my head of there's something's wrong with this human.
And also I'm vulnerable.
Yeah. Now, little did they know that I could also use that cane as a wild weapon if I needed to. But
and then you could pull out the sword that's inside it.
Man, I missed that opportunity. Next time I'm putting a sword inside of it. But I think these identity shifts, because trauma in our amygdala, when she starts running the show, it really does change our experience of self in the world in really powerful and important ways. And when there are new relationships, that identity shift or the ebbing of who we thought we were it can have a pretty incredible domino effect, but it can be for really powerful, amazing experiences to unfold in the future. Like, oh, here's a good guy. That's great. Or it could be, oh, this is a human who actually thrives when their partner is dependent and needy. And then there could be some power struggles that come after.
Yeah. Sounds like some therapies in their future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lita, for writing in. I really appreciate you and all of our listeners that try to get their questions answered on our episode. And if you want your question answered on one of our episodes, you can go to thetroublewithsex.com and write in to Ask Dr. Tammy. Kate, is there anything else you want our listeners to know? Anything about touch, healing, trauma, brain health, sex? What else do you want to make sure you leave us with?
How much time do you have?
We can always have you back.
I think the main through line of everything that I try, and I don't always succeed to embody in my life, in my friendships, and the work I do with my clients, it always boils down to self-compassion. And that's where that brain partnership piece is, of just recognizing that so many of these experiences, whether they be fight, flight, freeze, people pleasing, that is our brain trying to love us. And while it can feel overwhelming and awful, and we can beat ourselves up so much, when we can just take a moment and say, hey, let's be gentle here and get curious about why our brain is trying to react or fight for us in this way. Our nervous system downregulates, and there becomes an openness for a different type of experience moving forward. And to be gentle. We just need to be really gentle with ourselves in a world that is not gentle.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Is there anything you want to tell people about how they can find you? Anything you're working on that you want to make sure they know about? We'll also put everything in the show notes, of course.
Yeah. So I do have 2 books, as Tammy mentioned. Thank you for highlighting those earlier. One is a neuroplasticity healing program called Healing in Your Hands. I know this is some of this might be shown, but it's literally each chapter is a guiding process through your own healing journey. And then my memoir came out last year, and it's a story of surviving traumatic loss. I was widowed at 29. I use my ongoing story of many, many, many traumas as I believe Frank Anderson, who's also a brilliant trauma practitioner, said, he's like, wow, this reads like a 10-car pileup for the first 7 chapters. I'm like, but I use the journey to teach about the brain science every step of the way. So it's an integration. And then my YouTube channel is YouTube Health approved. And so the World Health Organization, NIH, has signed off and said my YouTube channel is safe and real for science data, which is very important to me. So you can find me on all the social media channels. And then I'm working on putting out what we're calling the Brain Partnership Toolboxes, which is a series of workbooks. If you go to drkatetruitt.com and the free resources link, we have tons of free downloads. I am shareware. Therapy is a privilege. Mental health is a human right. And so I try to give away as much as I can for free.
Yeah, you do. You're very generous.
Thank you. Well, so are you.
Are you going to have to write like a new chapter of your memoir now? Now that you have another car pile up?
Yeah. To your point about book agents reaching out and saying, oh, so you're just starting the next book. Yeah, I'm playing around with something, but I want to do something a little more fun and less science this time.
Yeah. It's a lot too, writing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Got to be in bed with it for a long time. And
yeah.
It's hard because like part of my concussion is like an aphasia where I really can't think of the words that I want to use. And I feel much less intelligent than I used to. And it's really, maybe I just have to dumb it down for a while, but it's not as easy to write as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I wonder what I'm supposed to be writing. I am working on a workbook, but I just, I think about you writing your memoir and Frank and some other friends that I know. Like, I wonder if, being vulnerable and transparent is probably more helpful in many ways. So maybe that's in my future. If I can ever come out from under the bed, I'm not sure.
Well, and that's the gentleness, right?
Compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion.
Because and that's pain, trauma. It takes, that's part of the fragmenting of self, because we know the difference of who we were and who we are now.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and that's the new normal term, and COVID completely got stripped of being a great term, but that's part of the neurobiological rewiring of the healing process.
And it's hard. It's hard not to should all over yourself.
Yes.
I should be doing this. I should be doing that.
Yes.
I will try to be gentler with my amygdala. Thank you for sharing that with us and sharing your story. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope you feel better. I'm glad you're off your cane. And
Me too.
Cane.
Very proud to be off my cane.
Yeah, we're gonna go out dancing soon, or
not. Living room dance party.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
I'm in for that.
That sounds good.
Yes.
Well, everyone should know Kate Truitt and all of her work. And like she said, she is very generous and gives out free stuff. You should check out her YouTube channel. She's very prolific on social media and also very honest. So I love her work, and you should definitely check it out. Until next time, thanks to all of my sexy listeners. Stay healthy, stay well, be compassionate, do your butterfly hugs. And you can find me at thetroublewithsex.com. I'm Dr. Tammy. Till next time. Have a question about your relationship or sexual wellness? Visit thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy to send us your questions. For sex-positive tips, live events, and updates, join our mailing list and follow us on Instagram at The Trouble with Sex. Listen to episodes of The Trouble with Sex on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share and rate the show. We so appreciate and thank you for supporting us. The Trouble with Sex is produced by Brandy Savitt. Audio for this episode was designed by Bethany Knoll Productions. This episode was engineered and mixed by Bruce Hirschfield. Music by Bruce Hirschfield.